buildinggreenwichct.com.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Building Greenwich. I'm your co-host, Lindsay Potter, here with Scott Elwell. And today we are so excited, for lack of better words, because I apparently say that every single time. But we are thrilled to have Larry sitting here with us. Larry, say hello to the mic.
Hello, everyone.
Get nice and close. So Larry is the caretaker at Greenwich Point, more affectionately known as Todd's Point. Yep. And we can talk about the fact that we did a history post on that on our Instagram at Building Greenwich's Instagram and got so much. That's how we actually connected.
Yes.
Because Larry reached out to the Instagram account to say, hey, I have so many stories. He's fourth generation.
Oh, really?
So Larry, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in Greenwich, and how long you've been working for the town and living on the beach in the most idyllic location ever.
Yeah. So I've lived in Greenwich my whole life, grew up here. I'm a fourth generation resident. My great-grandfather moved here in Coscob on Harold Street way back when.
Yeah.
And I'm from Byram originally.
Where?
Byram.
Oh, nice. I live there.
Yeah. And I've been working for the town for 25 years now. I started
and you're only
1999.
28. It's so cool. Yeah.
Child labor.
Get to work.
Well, I started in high school, summers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
At Greenwich Point as a seasonal employee. And
doing what?
just being a high school kid.
Yeah.
Emptying the garbage cans.
Do they still offer those jobs for
They
kids?
do.
I hope
It's
so.
not as popular for the high school kids.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Empty garbage cans. They're like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do
Yeah,
that.
I know. 8 years ago, I transferred from the highway department and moved my family to Greenwich Point as the caretaker of Todd's Point.
So cool. So you have two boys I know that are same age as our youngest kids, 11, and you and your wife and your kids live right in the house on the point, but no one needs to go there and knock on their door, okay? But you know where the house is if Todd's Point. And what does the work entail for you on a day-to-day of being the caretaker?
So essentially, I have two positions.
Oh, you can come closer.
I
to
have
this.
my regular Monday through Friday job, which is the maintenance mechanic, which I take care of the entire infrastructure, utility infrastructure, structures, and the beach.
Yeah.
All the plumbing, the carpentry.
So like that storm that hit a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
where there's sand still in the parking lots.
We had to do all that cleanup with heavy equipment,
Yeah.
inspect bridges, replace anything that needs that sort of thing, all the electrical, anything that is making that park operate, I'm in charge of,
Okay.
and I maintain. The only thing that we don't really deal with is the landscaping part. The Parks Department does that.
Oh, cool. That's good to know.
And then my caretaking duties are 7 days a week. I open and close the park. I patrol the areas to make sure everything's in line.
Are you the guy with the horn?
Yeah. at the end of
Okay,
the
yeah.
day.
You're that
I've
guy-
been there
you're
a
that
couple
guy.
times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember in high school not liking that person. Like, we're not done
Yeah.
hanging out.
So
Yeah.
the
But
horn
now
is
I'm okay.
right at sundown?
It's right at sunset.
Yeah. You go off pretty quick. I've been there, and
Yeah.
you know,
I know. If you've never been to Todd's Point and you are a resident, first of all, you should go, get your beach pass and go. But at sunset, the alarm starts to go off and the truck starts to drive around the point and telling you, get out.
do you get any enjoyment about blasting the horn?
In the beginning, I did.
Yeah.
It's not such a novelty anymore.
I remember people hiding and
Yeah.
trying to stay in.
They
Where are you
do.
going? What are you going to swim out?
Yeah, people like to hide and sneak away.
Yeah. Wait. What do you? So people actually will hide? Like you found?
They'll,
I definitely did when I was in high school.
yeah, I've had.
We're publishing
Yeah,
this.
I've actually had a parent come down after closing in the summertime and said, "My son is in here." I pinged him on Find My iPhone.
Yeah.
I see him.
He's in here, and it was late. It was like 9:30-ish, 10 o'clock. It was dark in the summer, and I found him hiding behind a rock.
What?
You're kidding.
Yeah,
For what? I just don't want to go home.
I just don't want to go.
Yeah, I get
It's
it.
too nice out
It's
here.
too-
It's Todd's
Yeah.
Point.
It
You're
is.
on the ocean.
I could sleep there. Yeah.
But like you said, I would go to Todd's as a kid.
Yeah.
And I know where all the good hiding spots
Of course.
are. And I tell kids, you can't fool me.
No.
I know where all the good spots are.
I was you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love
Where all
that.
the hangouts are. I know where everyone hides.
Up in the castle is
Yeah.
an easy. That's too
the
easy.
stories that point.
No one's
the-
going to look in here.
The stories that point has to tell.
Right.
Come on.
That's actually, I really want to get into that because that was what I was. What is another word for excited this morning? My brain is shot. Enthusiastic to hear the stories of your grandfather and or great grandfather and stories about the point, because you mentioned it, but I didn't ask because I was holding off for this interview.
Yeah.
So really quickly, the fourth generation, is it all the same last name? Okay,
No.
so quick background on that.
My mother's side, Lowthert, he was the one who started working for the town in, I want to say 1947.
That's awesome.
A few years after the town acquired or purchased
The park,
the
yeah.
property. So there was a huge amount of work to be done with local contractors, Turner Brothers, Mitchell Brothers, the big construction outfits at the time,
Yeah.
to build a town park. Parking lots, paths, roads.
Yeah, so much goes into that place
Yes.
working like it does.
Right. They had to construct the enormous seawall that goes around the entire eastern to western part of the point. They had to construct that. All the tidal ponds had to be made with the Army Corps of Engineers. There was a lot of planning and building involved.
Like around the Old Greenwich Yacht Club area toward the kite surfing area?
No, right in the middle. I mean,
Right in
because
the middle.
you've got that flow when the tide is up and down. It's a good 1.5 feet. I've seen at certain
least.
points. It moves fast.
So all those wooden walking bridges on the South Shore, those had to be designed by the Army Corps of Engineers to protect the property, but at the same time promote good tidal flow for the ponds,
Oh, cool.
which we also
Because
maintain.
they're saltwater ponds.
Right.
Saltwater.
And
That's
yeah,
why
I'd
they
love to
s-
hear more about that. But
That's why they smell so good.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Yeah,
That's-
there's actually
But it's fascinating because I remember going as a kid. You go down there, you learn about everything. Every
Yeah.
student that grew up here, but I remember the ponds vividly. The flow of the tides. There's a lot of water going in and out.
Yeah.
You know,
A lot of
except for
water.
ebb and flow.
and they're very important to the ecosystem there. And part of our responsibility of the town is that we maintain under the walking bridges, meaning that we have to dredge them every year.
Oh,
After
okay.
the entire winter storms, a lot of sand, rock, and sediment
Wow.
get pushed in, and they end up blocking the flow.
That makes sense.
So we go in there in March with the excavator with special permits from the state, of course, with their approval, and we haul out all the material from the winter. And we roughly excavate 300 to 500 yards of material every year.
Oh, what?
And then we screen it, and then we put it back down the dirt road
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of people use, and we maintain that road that way.
So it's the same material that you're turning over. So you
Same
take
material.
you pull it out, but you put it in different locations across. And
It's essentially along that path where the ponds are.
The path of least resistance.
Yeah. So
I remember wanting to be in an ocean. I never made it into this oceanography class. And I believe Sue Baker taught at the high school.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone that got to go to the beach for oceanography class, I just remember being envious of that because they got to spend their day studying at the beach. And that seemed really pretty idyllic.
see, I remember being really bored and having to go there and pull up the snails and everything. And now I appreciate it.
Right,
But
now
I
you
vividly
do that
remember
all day.
being dragged down, getting wet and everything. You could have had my slot.
I actually saw Mrs. Baker last night.
I saw her at a concert a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago. I was
She's
like,
so
you are
active. She's
awesome.
great.
She's the best.
Yeah.
She was front row at a concert at the Capitol
That's awesome.
I
at
believe it.
Garcia's.
I
Yeah,
believe it.
it was awesome.
Okay,
And she
back
looks the
to the four generations and how that syncs with Todd's point.
So my grandfather started working there 1947-ish, somewhere around there, and he just had tons of stories for me working there as a young adult. It was right after the war. A lot of men were still getting acclimated
Yeah.
back to home. So he was just down there working for the town and part of the crew that was transforming what was the golf course in the front of the park, the 9-hole golf course.
Yeah, which
And-
was called Innis
which was called
before.
Innis Arden,
Right.
the
moved.
original Innis Arden, and transforming it into parking lots and a usable park.
Oh, so the golf course was there.
The 9-hole golf course was in the front part of the park. So it started.
Oh,
Right when you walk in.
Yeah, so
Sort of
what
to
he
your
told
right,
me
right?
was all those straight parking lots that go down.
yeah.
Yep.
He told me that was like all the fairways.
Oh my God. I thought that the golf course, from reading all the history that I've been reading, was where Innis Golf Course is. And it was just built down there as an adjunct to the park that Todd owned.
No,
That's
wasn't
so
there
cool.
really short holes
Yeah,
on the
was-
property? For the listeners, it's 141 acres.
Yeah, roughly 147 acres plus the beach.
And then from the front parking lot, if you were to drive around and do the loop and back, because back in the day when I was in shape, it's exactly 2.5 miles.
That sounds about right.
And so it's, for outsiders, it's a massive point
It's huge.
with water 360 basically,
It's
or
huge.
350.
And
you know.
incredible views of
You can see
Manhattan
Manhattan,
and everything,
everything.
in between. And it's a great place to train if you are
It is.
running marathons.
Yeah, no, back in the day. But yeah, it's 2.5 miles to the point.
Yeah.
Like, exactly. And so it's really good to do that loop.
Besides our islands, Island Beach, Captain's Island, Greenwich Point is the only town park in Connecticut, my understanding, I could be wrong, that you can see the Manhattan skyline from.
I would think that's right.
Darien just bought that giant chunk, the Ziegler's. And
It
so
did?
I don't know from.
They
Oh,
might.
no, but they're not. You can't see it because it's blocked.
blocked, yeah.
It's blocked by.
And Westport, I feel like it's too far up there. They've got great beaches, though.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay, so the golf course was at the point.
The golf course was in the front half of the point.
Okay.
So if you go up to the Clambake area in the wintertime and you walk through the woods, you can see all the old sand bunkers and berms.
Oh,
And
cool.
it's awesome.
You have to wait for all the vegetation to thin out.
Yeah.
To really see it.
That's so cool. I was up in the area between the Holly Groves and like when you go over the hill to get back down to the
Yep.
beach, and there was a lot of landscape type stuff going on in there, but it's still wild. So maybe is that the area?
That's part of it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
makes sense.
They
have a
are
visual.
attempting to clean out some of the invasives.
Yeah, that's what they look like they were
Yeah.
doing actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so then tell us a story. Tell us a story, Larry. Tell us a story.
Well,
that your
I'll
grandfather
lead
told
you. When you moved in,
Yeah.
since you, when did you move in?
We moved in Memorial Day weekend 2016.
Okay.
7 years ago.
Yeah.
Since you
It
moved
was a
in,
huge day.
That is a big day. Where'd you
Yeah.
move from? Sorry.
We moved from Byram.
Oh yeah. Okay.
My wife and I, we own a 3-family house in Byram.
I love Byram too.
And,
On the map right there, we
Yep.
made a map
Byram,
so everyone
right
would
here,
know.
right on
So
the
you
water.
moved from the complete other side of town,
Yep.
So Byram, all the way out to Todd's Point.
Yeah, the furthest point
the
possible.
furthest point,
Yep.
the best point though.
Yeah.
The best point.
Now, when you moved in, obviously it's a huge move for the family. You're
It was huge.
sitting in an absurdly nice piece of property yourself. I'd assume you've gained a new appreciation for all the little intricacies of the point. You know,
Yeah.
everything that lives there, everything it takes. You knew the point beforehand, but living there has got to be a whole different experience.
It's a whole nother level. I have to thank my wife because,
That's good.
She-
That's a good thing to do.
yeah.
It's
because
always smart. You should
Yes.
just start every
Very
conversation.
smart.
I thank my wife.
She really was on board doing this, and it's a huge thing for her too because
Yeah.
my work life becomes my family's
Right.
life.
Yes.
In a way. So she's been a huge support system for me in my career and living there. So
That's
thank
awesome.
you to Jen for that.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, Jen. And who was there before you? And how long were they there? I mean, this has
So-
got to be like
Yeah.
a highly coveted role.
So
everything.
the guy that was there before me, his name was Mike. He was there 20-something years.
Wow.
But after he left, the house was left in a little bit of disarray. It's an old house. It's an original building to the estate.
Oh, it is.
No, but it's the original caretaker house to the Todd family.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought that they demolished the original. That's so cool. It's
Well,
a good little bit of history.
they renovated it before we moved in. It needed tons of work
Yeah.
to be considered livable.
That always helps.
Yeah, and the town did a great job getting it up to speed, and the house is just really amazing now.
Oh, cool.
What structures are on the property again, besides yours,
So we have,
or the towns that you're occupying?
there's a few structures, right? There's across from my house, there's a small storage shed
Okay.
to where I believe was the ice house that Todd stored his ice in for refrigeration, because the walls are very thick.
Cool.
They're like they got to be several feet thick.
Really?
And some people said, "Oh, they're I think that's where he houses his generator." And I'm like, "No, it
not
floods
back
there.
then,
It
yeah.
could flood." Across the way is Camp Carefree's canoe house.
Where are we? We drive in.
So I'm talking by across from my house.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Right along Eagle Pond right there, there's a small stone building
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
along there, and that's where Camp Carefree has a lot of their activities
In the summer.
in the summer.
Okay.
That originally was a spot for the nurses to go when they would come up from Presbyterian Hospital.
Oh, you're kidding.
When they sold the property to Presbyterian, or donated, didn't they donate to Presbyterian
They
Hospital?
donated to Presbyterian
Todd
Hospital.
did when after he died. She donated it,
Correct.
didn't she? Because she was still alive, Mrs. Todd. And then the nurses came and lived there. And then didn't they also live at the Innisarden cottage now that's just been renovated?
Yep.
So didn't they also live there? I believe
they would
from what I
stay
read.
there. Yeah, they would stay there as well. But they also would come up when the Todds were there too.
Yeah.
They would give them, a weekend of
Yeah.
whatever it may be, and they would just let them relax
Yeah.
from New York. So that in his Arden Cottage now, the Todds used to live in that house in the wintertime during World War I because they couldn't get enough fuel to heat the big house in the back.
Oh, you're kidding.
So they would stay up front, and also in the wintertime, they couldn't maintain the road for snow.
Elizabeth's Neck.
Yeah, the whole way to the back. So instead of trying to plow snow out of the road, they would stay closer to the front of the park.
Makes sense.
And you've got to think of today with all that you have to do to the property or manage and all the machinery that you have. Back then, they don't have a full town behind them. It had to have been a ton of work and effort for however many people and however many trucks and stuff they have.
Right.
It's a whole different beast.
Yeah, definitely. I look at the facility today, and I say to myself, the amount of work, labor that had to be put into this place it's huge.
Yeah.
He had to build a road because it was 2 islands. He had to build a road to get all the way around, and all this stonework.
Is a
So
lot of work.
the family built the original road? Or the road that's there?
Yep.
And it was 2 islands?
It was 2 islands.
So that's right past the ponds? Is that
Yeah.
You've got
So-
the neck when you come in, and then the second was past the ponds?
And they had to build the neck too. The neck was not. It wasn't connected. It was an island.
Yeah.
And they built causeways on either side to get across.
All before the permits and all
All
that.
but
You
the
couldn't
town.
do that today, obviously.
So rumor has it, I don't know how true it is, that Todd had the New York City subway excavation brought up on barges to help make these roads.
That's
I don't know how true that is. That's
I wouldn't
1880s.
doubt. I wouldn't doubt that.
It's a
actually.
cool story. Let's run.
Yeah.
It's
No.
not
Well,
under
knowing the amount of wealth he had and his vision for the space for the park,
Yeah.
that wouldn't shock me if it was true.
Do you think he was planning this whole thing to donate? Like, was that? You think that?
No.
No.
If you're building it, I'm curious.
Yeah.
This is
Question.
not something you build just for you because it's going to last a lot longer than.
I
these will.
believe they envisioned, and I read an oral history project that they wanted it to go to the hospital.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
they wanted the hospital to keep it. New York Presbyterian. Mrs. Todd did not want the town to have it. She's told people that she did not want to go to the public ever.
Sorry, Mrs.
Yeah.
Todd.
Well, we appreciate how it
We
works out.
appreciate it.
But I think she'd be happy. the way
Yeah,
it turned out.
I think so too. It makes so many people happy.
Yeah.
Somewhat topically, we got a couple, 2 months? Are you involved with the fireworks?
Yes.
Okay.
I am. That is scheduled for July 6th.
Okay.
Yeah, July 4th is a Thursday.
Thursday,
it's
so this
just-
Saturday.
Okay. Yeah,
I
we
don't
should
know of a rain date.
make sure to post those.
Yes.
Yeah. So what?
What do people need to know?
What goes into the fireworks, and what do people need to know? Because I always go and watch from our boat, and
Yeah,
so,
that's actually a great spot to view them from. The fireworks is a multi-departmental effort through the Parks Department, the Marine Division, which I'm a part of, the Fire Department, the Police Department, so many departments, Public Works, Highway. We all get together and we make this happen.
Put on a show.
so cool.
It is one of the best fireworks shows.
It's a great show.
You don't want to miss it.
No, and the beauty of finding somebody with a small boat is that you can go in and out, and you don't have to deal with the neck. But you go out there, and it's not just you've got the side that's on Long Island, and then you've got inlet where all the moorings and everything are. A lot of people watch from both areas.
Where do they get shot off from?
They get shot off from the bluff, which is the southeastern corner of the point.
Okay.
The club?
No, the opposite side. So there's a set of Adirondack chairs over there.
Oh yeah.
That's where they shoot it off from.
Oh, I love that spot.
Yeah, it's really the most open spot.
Makes sense. That big tree
And
there.
how's that evolved since you've been there? Has there been major changes to the fireworks or anything? It's just
pretty,
classic.
It's pretty every year the same thing.
I feel like an operation that at that
Yeah.
scale has to be dialed in.
Yeah.
We're not going to iterate, really. We're just going to stick to the plan.
Now, when the sun goes down, do you still blast the horn and just nobody pays attention?
No, we don't. It's the only night where the town allows the public to stay past sunset.
Oh, the only night.
Only night.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how late can you stay? Until fireworks
we
are over?
Start pushing people out right after.
Okay.
But it could take quite a long time.
So as I tour Todd's Point with a lot of different people, one thing I really appreciate that I think is under-observed is the amount of parking.
Mm-hmm.
And besides July 4th, which I'm curious about, but I've never had a situation where I went to Todd's Point and I couldn't find parking. And it's nice that you have all the lots, but they're not just one giant Costco parking spot. They're all hidden. And so aesthetically, it's really nice. But there is how many spots are there besides July 4th? Does it ever fill up?
So we have roughly 1,200 spaces park-wide, including the southwestern part.
Okay.
There was one time, the 4th of July, maybe 7 years ago, where we reached capacity.
Wait, so 4th of July, you still don't reach capacity?
This was the only time.
That's okay. That's impressive.
So the front parking lots will certainly fill up.
Yeah.
And then we have to start pushing people into the clam bake parking
Okay.
Right.
in the back. And people make the idea or not whether or not they want to stay or leave.
And don't you let people park on the grass in Clambake area?
Not up in the grass,
Okay.
no. But we have that large parking lot, the
Right.
dirt parking
Yeah,
lot
that's
down there.
big.
But that's impressive that even July 4th, you can have parking for everyone.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, there are a lot of people in this town, 62 some odd thousand.
Sure.
Yeah.
And there are a ton of people on Todd's Point. And if you go to a lot of other neighboring towns' beaches, they fill up fully.
Right.
And that's where everyone's parking in the street. And so whoever designed the parking setup on Todd's Point, to me, did a great job without it feeling like a Costco, but having a ton of spaces.
It was a golf course designer.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, over the years, somebody clearly, you
No,
know,
I
when
know.
you and I were kids, it was different than it is today.
Yes.
And
Was it?
There had to the parking fields. It's a lot. It's
The
it definitely
parking
is.
lots have
To be
not
honest, I don't
changed.
remember.
Okay,
The
so
parking lots.
I clearly don't know
They
what I'm
constructed
talking
the
about.
parking lots in the late 40s, and they haven't changed since.
Really?
So it's actually, I was thinking about this morning. They had long-term vision
Yeah.
Somebody did.
to know that this town could potentially get very large, very popular. Let's make sure that there's going to be enough parking
Yeah.
in 100 years.
It's probably the biggest issue in the rest of town.
Yes.
Parking is
Yes.
a big issue because
Yeah.
there are so many people here, and there are so many
sure.
people that come to Greenwich from outside of Greenwich for the shopping, and but you cannot go to Todd's Point unless you are a resident with a beach pass. So can we talk
Well,
about
non-residents can purchase them.
They can purchase.
So,
So can we
yeah.
just talk about that so that people know when this goes out? I'll probably edit this clip to go on Instagram because I do want for people to know when they need a beach card. We can post instructions on how to get their beach card if they don't know. But when do they need it and why do they need it? And is there anything else that they need?
So starting May 1st, you'll need a beach pass to get in. Anyone over the age of 5. Go into the town website, log into WebTrack, it's called.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can upload your residency documents for the office to review. And if you already have a beach pass from last year or previous years, it just gets renewed.
We have the one pass. I literally
one pass.
Right. just did this last month, and,
And
I showed you all my stickers. I'm proud.
They've
of.
made
Yes.
it. I will give them. They have made it streamlined in the past few years. It's become so much easier. I used to have to go stand in line at town hall,
Yeah.
and it was a forever process.
And they've also switched over to electronic over the last 5
Right.
years or
Right.
so, and they made the one pass. And whomever is listening to this, when you have to go through it, it's not a seamless, painless process. But be kind to everyone at town hall.
Yes.
because it is a bigger pain for them, and it's worth just going through the effort, uploading all your docs, and they'll get to it. But just whoever's
Made it
on the
easier.
phone if you have a problem.
It's certainly a
Good point.
busy time of the year for the office.
Yes.
Because they have to manually review everyone's documents.
Right. And most people don't do this in December. They wait
Right.
until mid-April.
Well, and there-
Why
Memorial
can't
Day
I get
weekend,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And there have been occurrences where people not living in Greenwich have tried to get them. And so there's a reason that they have to go through this process. But just be kind to whoever, no matter how frustrating it is for you.
We're both big on being kind to people that work in
Yeah.
these jobs where it's like a necessity because we all need our beach cards, want our beach cards, but people can be pretty aggressive when it comes to why haven't I gotten it yet?
Yes, very much.
And it's unfair to the people at town hall.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and these beach cards aren't transferable, so you can't loan someone your card. We do have the capability of scanning it, seeing your name and your age.
And they've been really good about scanning these past few years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't bring a dog after April 1st, right?
March 31st.
March 31st.
Yeah, April
okay.
1st, yeah.
Is December 1st to March 31st?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you have a dog in the town, in the area, you don't need the beach card. I bring ours every week. It's
In the
fantastic.
winter.
It's amazing. It's
It really is.
Yeah, it's a hugely popular destination for dogs.
Well, they're so happy down there.
Yeah.
Run.
I see a huge decline in attendance on April 1st
simply because the dogs.
simply because dogs aren't allowed anymore.
Yeah.
And it's huge. I mean,
Well, and now we're in that middle period where they're like, we were talking about this before the show. You don't need a beach card, but they're just checking for dogs.
Right.
So
I keep
they're like,
flashing my
I don't
card.
care what you've got in the car as long
Keep
as
your
there's not a
card.
dog.
yeah. That also includes cats
Okay.
and other animals.
Hadn't never thought about
Because
that.
I've seen people walking their cats,
Okay.
bring in their parrots, other birds,
Interesting.
other animals, and they say, it's no dog. I'm like, yes.
Okay.
But the way the town ordinance reads, it's no animals.
Right. And I do want to thank you for saying bird, because I have noticed so many more birders at the beach. There are people that are they're birders, like
Observing birds,
observing
not bringing
birds.
birds.
Yeah.
There are
Okay.
so many people with big cameras and or just viewing instruments there are so many species of bird. I don't know how many.
It's huge. I don't know the exact number either.
Me either.
But Todd's Point is considered a bird sanctuary.
Oh, it is.
It is.
See? The birders.
There is a
What's the term for somebody that observes birds?
I think it's an
Arbor-
ornithologist.
No. Okay.
I don't know.
Birder?
Here we go.
Ornithologist?
There is a group on every first Sunday of the month that host a bird walk on Sunday morning, every first Sunday of the month. And they just go around and they just talk about and watch
Yeah.
birds.
And that's Sunday mornings. You close off the loop for walkers,
no
right?
longer.
No, you don't anymore.
Oh, really?
That goes roughly the second week in November to the second week in April,
Okay.
historically.
But in the summers you do?
No.
Oh, so that's off the table.
It's
anymore.
off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ornithologists.
Thank you,
Only because my
We
brother
had to look like
my
we know
brother-in-law
what we're
has a good friend that's an ornithologist, and it's incredible what he knows about birds when you're with him. Like, wow, you really know everything about that species up there that I wouldn't otherwise know about. So it's cool to know. And so the ornithologists are doing a walk around the point on first Sunday of
Every month.
That's
I
so
forgot
cool.
the name of the organization. I forget who it is.
We'll find out.
Well, and you've got backcountry up on John Street. There's a lot of birds.
The
up
It might.
there.
You know what? It might
The
be the
Audubon.
Audubon.
Okay.
Yeah,
Might be.
Yeah.
it probably is the Audubon.
Yeah.
'Cause they have a program up there too.
Yep.
While we're virtually walking through the Todd's Point, do you have a lot to do with the yacht club? What are the
Directly?
basics of it?
Not
And-
directly, but I work with them quite often. So they're seasonal.
Yeah.
They're starting to gear up. They have their commissioning. I think it's next weekend.
And it's a public yacht club,
It's a
right? I
yacht
have
club.
friends that have learned how to sail there, so it shouldn't be. It
So
should be less
you have to
intimidating.
be a town of Greenwich resident,
Okay.
and it's a public nonprofit club. And actually, I know that their member list is open now.
Okay, how do you become a member? Do you know that part?
So you would they have a website. You would call up their admissions person.
The Old Greenwich,
Old Greenwich
Yacht
Yacht
Club,
Club.
with the witch on their burgee. They have some kind of
I
witch.
believe
Like
so,
there's
yeah.
some there. It's
Cool.
Yeah, it's a cool burgee.
They had an open house last weekend, I think, and they said that they are open for members.
Okay, good
So
to
if
know.
anyone is
We'll
looking
put that
to
out
join,
there.
They are
And what are the member benefits of being a member of the OG Yacht Club?
So if you have a boat in the cove, they offer launch service to your boat. That's the biggest membership perk of OGYC. Otherwise, you're taking a dinghy out to your boat.
Okay, or swimming.
They have parties throughout the year. They have a big party in the summer at night. What else do they have? They have
Well, I know people have come to town, have wanted to learn how to sail,
Right.
and have gone there.
Yeah.
And obviously, you've got established yacht clubs of people that have done it for a long time. And but I know Old Greenwich, it's an easy way to get in and involved in the activity and learn
For
how
sure.
to do it.
yeah, and they work with the
summer
Todd's Point
camps.
Sailing School too.
Oh,
They're
cool.
not affiliated, but they do.
Oh, okay, so that's where I'm getting. So
Yeah.
the Todd's Point Sailing School is different than the Old Greenwich Yacht Club, but they're right next door.
They're right next door to each other. They're they're separate,
Okay.
but they work together.
And you can go and take sailing lessons there in the summer. I think you can also take kite surfing lessons. I've seen kite surfers going out there.
Kite surfers are a little bit further down
Okay.
the road, so you can rent a kayak or you can rent a sailboat
Okay.
Awesome.
from them. And they also
Oh,
offer
that is really great.
So the two what's that organization called?
Todd's Point Sailing School.
Okay.
And they actually offer a great summer program for kids that both my kids have used before to teach youths how to sail.
Do you need to be a resident to go to Todd's Point Sailing School?
You don't need to be a resident,
Okay.
but if you do go there, you need passes to get in.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which, if you are not a resident, you can purchase pass.
Or do they have a special pass because they're
No.
at the school? Okay,
No.
so you have to do the day
You
passes.
have to do the day passes.
And where do you purchase day passes?
For
A question everyone wants
for-
to know the answer
for
to.
non-residents, you can go to the town website, and there's a section under. It probably comes up right on the main page. It'll say non-verified residents for a purchase,
Okay.
and they sell them Monday through Friday, from 9 till 5.
Are they specific days? Do you buy it, or do you just buy it? So you get a booklet. And
So you
it's your
can
name.
buy a pass May 1st and use it any day for a one-time use.
So PSA for anybody that's a resident that you have guests coming in, make
Right.
sure to have your passes. Maybe buy them in advance because it's,
Yeah,
you
you
know,
can-
if you
you
bring
can-
friends from out of town that want.
It's never fun to scramble when you have friends that want to come
because
in.
people will come in, they'll be sitting in line trying to buy passes on their phone. It just
Not the
kind
best
it
service
just kind
right
of,
there.
No, it's actually the worst spot.
It's the worst spot to try and buy
sorry.
anything on your phone.
And it creates a backlog, and we try to get everyone into the point as quick as possible
Right.
to try and avoid that backup.
There is one way in and out, so
Right.
it does get clogged.
It gets clogged, but if you look at your watch, it doesn't take that long.
No, it
because there have
doesn't.
been times I've gotten there, I'm like, oh god, it's going to take forever, and then 2 minutes
It
later I'm
moves.
in. So
Yeah.
it's one of those lines that does move pretty quickly. You guys do a great job at getting people through.
Yeah, if we see things starting to get busy and back up, I'll go up there and I'll start assisting with trying to expedite getting everyone in.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal to us to actually make sure that we don't get a backed up line.
In Old Greenwich, I see that they've been working on the running path through town.
Okay.
Does that anything lead out to Todd's Point? I mean, that one pinch in the road. Is there ever going to be a?
You mean
an
sidewalks?
Yeah, there's a what is it called? I'm sorry.
Sidewalks on shore?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that going to go down to the point, or is there an effort to get that down there?
Unfortunately, it would have to end right at Todd's Driftway.
Yeah.
Todd's Driftway is a private road,
Okay.
and the town doesn't have the authority to build a sidewalk.
So that's a private road that obviously there's a variance or something to go
Yeah,
through.
we have yes, we do.
Okay.
In order to access our property. So where the stone pillars start right before Lucas
Yep.
Point,
Yep.
the beach there, that is considered a private road owned by the Lucas Point
I
Association.
had
Yeah.
no clue. They have the beach on the left side.
Right.
Yep.
Which is private to the association,
Which is
right?
private to the association, but the actual road they own.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
That road will never change unless they
yeah, because
It's just
potentially
the bridge.
take out that
It's
one property.
One stone pinch. I wonder
Yeah.
how many
it's
cars
tight.
get dinged
it's
there.
tight. Yeah. No,
And-
actually.
And then the
very
runners, pay attention, please,
It's
to the
super
people.
It's
dangerous.
very dangerous,
It's
especially
super
with people
dangerous.
on their phones. I've seen people looking down while driving through that tiny little pinch of a road, and there's so many pedestrians. I'm like, please don't look at your phone while you're driving through here
Yeah.
or ever.
Well, you can't get service there. Get off your phone. Just wait until
Well,
you
that
get to the
the
point.
property that's right there on the right when you're driving in. I knew the guy that used to live there. I don't know if someone's bought the property, but if someone bought that and like maybe rerouted that wall, it would open it up a little bit.
That would be helpful, but
We'll see.
The association might not like that, but
Just a little bit. Just straighten it out a little bit. Let's talk quickly about if you can fill us in on this beach cleanup event that's happening this Saturday, April 27th from 9 to 1. And who is running this beach cleanup? How can people get involved? Because I really want to share this.
yeah, definitely. So Saturday, I believe they start at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
It's called Live Like Luke. That's the name of the beach cleanup. They do it every year. They do a great job. They get a huge turnout. A lot of community partners come out. I believe the main sponsor is Greenwich Green and Clean.
Okay, great.
They have an online setup. I'm sorry, I don't know the exact.
No, I'll find out. And I'm
We'll
assuming,
post it.
Even if you don't sign up in advance, you can show up.
okay,
Right.
and
And
meet at the
Meet
second
at the
concession?
first parking lot on the right.
Okay.
So Friday night, I'm going to block off the parking lot. We bring tables up for community partners. The Old Greenwich Association will be there, which I'm on the board of. And Skip the Straw, Waste Free Greenwich. A lot of community partners come out
Great.
And they promote
That's
what they
fantastic.
do, and everyone gets together and they just
Clean
clean
up.
up.
And who is Luke? Do we know?
He was a child who had, from my understanding, a great vision of keeping
The
the
waterways
beach clean and the
Yeah.
water clean.
Oh,
And that's they're honoring him by
I love
doing
that.
this. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
well, then now I can't wait to learn more about him and the mission. Okay, cool. So April 27th, this Saturday, 9 to 1, meet at the first parking lot on the right
Yep.
and come and be a part of a community cleanup. I'm going to
Yeah.
do my best to be there.
It's always a
Fantastic.
great turnout. It's always great to see.
Hopefully it's a beautiful day, like today.
Finally.
Yeah.
What about the OG Association? Tell us a little bit about that. I don't really know what that entails, what it is.
The Old Greenwich Association is just every neighborhood seems to have one, and they're basically an organization that just is an informant to the community of what's going on in their section of town.
Okay, cool.
So we were constantly sending out email blasts. We host an annual meeting. We invite people from the town to talk about various projects that are going on in Old Greenwich. The bridge in Binney Park, for example. We invite the Friends of Binney Park, the Friends of Greenwich Point. Hey, this is what we do. The Old Greenwich Garden Club, this is what we do. And everyone gets
So
you know,
many clubs,
Right.
so many people.
Well, they're all trying to benefit the area.
I know. No, I love
And
it.
you get to know who's an active community volunteer and what they do for your community.
Old Greenwich as a community is obviously very active. And leading in, you have a lot of running races through there.
Yeah.
There's 5Ks. There's a Greenwich Half Marathon. I assume that's also a point where you allow anybody to come in.
Yeah.
If you're running in the race.
Yeah, if you're part of that,
yeah.
Yeah, there's tons of events going on all year long.
I love
Pe-
going
people-
to events at the beach, running events. I walk now,
You
but
can finish the sentence. Just I love going to events. Period. We don't need to add anything to that, Lindsay.
I love events.
Well, people say to me, "Oh, you must like wintertime. It must be quiet." I'm like,
Nope.
"No, every season brings on a new. There's always something going on at Greenwich Point, Todd's Point.
Always.
There's always something going on.
How is winter there? Is it fun? Is it crazy?
Honestly, it's a little rough.
Yeah.
It's really cold and really windy.
That last storm, you posted some footage of the winds whipping and the water coming up over the seawall, and
Yeah.
it was scary from where I live. It was actually scary. The wind was pounding our whole neighborhood, and I live in central Greenwich. It's pretty up on the top of a hill, but I couldn't even fathom living right there or being on the water anywhere in Old
It
Greenwich.
must have been cool.
There was a lot of water coming in.
There's a lot of water. I'm a huge weather enthusiast.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about the weather.
Yeah. So
It guides everything.
I'm like constantly monitoring, and I have to follow marine
Yeah.
weather. I can't follow regular, like
You follow
land.
marine weather too, don't
No,
you?
I've got 14 apps on my phone,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
the buoys out on Long Island
The
for
buoys on Long
Yukon,
Island.
My
Right,
Sound, all that
exactly.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. Elaborate, please.
stuff. Don't worry, we can.
So we have a
I'm curious.
a little
Yeah.
weather station next to my house that's maintained by the state DEP
Okay.
through Yukon as well.
Yeah.
And they monitor ozone levels. I talked to the guys down there, so they're trying to monitor ozone levels, being that our proximity to New York and New Jersey, and they also have one up at Sherwood Island.
So Execution Rocks has the,
Yeah.
the buoy that I feel like gets an obscene amount of data.
Yes.
Up in Darien?
No, in New York.
Okay.
But between us and Manhattan. right
Okay.
now. But yeah, no, I love watching that and watch the wind gusts and everything. I mean, for you as an enthusiast, when you moved down there, it must have been a blend between this is really cool
It was
/ I've
beautiful.
got to deal with all the work.
I have to monitor these things because I need to make a determination whether or not to evacuate the facility. Not me personally, but
Right.
make sure that I get to get everyone out. Because if we start taking water, Lucas Point is already crashing over.
Gotcha.
And if people can't get out, then we have a big problem.
Good point.
So are you determining not only the visitors getting out, but the homeowners getting out?
No,
Okay.
Because that's private.
that's all private. But I will certainly notify Sound Beach Fire because it did happen, because when that tide came up that night, I had to go into town to pick up my kids, and the shore road was already flooded.
Yeah.
And I said,
Did you see footage of Shore Road?
Oh yeah,
It
yeah.
That was
was-
nuts.
We actually we're talking about December a year and a couple months ago.
No, I'm
No, the
talking
most recent.
Oh, the recent one. Okay.
Yeah.
April. And I'm like, you better send down your water rescue because these people can't get out of here. And they sent down boats and they sent down a high water vehicle.
Cool.
And they actually had to get someone out with a boat. They had to get to the hospital.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's so good to know that they have those.
Sound Beach Fire has all the water rescue, technical rescue that's needed, and they have a dive team, and they have anything that's needed to get you out of your home if you can't get out.
I mean, that makes all the sense in the world. I just had never thought about it because I don't live down there.
Do you have any engagement with Captain Islands?
I do. I talk with the caretakers out there.
Yeah.
Not too very often, but
There are two? One on Little and one on Great?
There's a guy out in Island Beach, and there's a guy in Captain's Island.
Okay.
Do they live there?
They both live there.
Oh.
The guy in Captain's Island lives in the lighthouse in the bottom, and the other guy lives... I haven't been out there for so long.
My big question is, how did the deer get there?
They swim.
Wait, so they currently
yeah.
swim, or they swam generations ago? Because
They come in and out.
you're kidding.
Oh, yeah,
They
we
go
have
out
deer
there-
at the lake that's up in the Adirondacks that swim.
This is a lot farther than
It's
It
far.
is.
this. Have you seen them swimming? Like, I see them there, and I figured, some deer came there 5 generations
I've
ago.
never seen him swim out there, but the guy lives out there. His name is Kevin. He said they come out here to give birth because there's no predators out there.
Oh, yeah.
That's
And
incredible.
it's super safe.
Predators being cars and humans.
Yeah,
But getting out there is a solid mile.
at least.
I mean, and this is not it's an ocean.
Yeah, and there's currents, and it's the real deal.
They're strong.
Yeah. Okay, so they migrate there. They go out there, give birth, and come back.
No, they'll stay out there for the entire summer, and they'll probably stay out there for the winter too. The only challenge for them is fresh water.
Right.
Yeah,
Because there's no fresh water.
There's got to be a little pond there or something that
There's
they
no
can drink
fresh water
from?
at all. They have to wait for rain.
Okay.
Yeah. The same thing at Todd's Point. There's no fresh water source
Right.
at all.
That's
Okay.
Luckily, the birds can fly and get it elsewhere.
Recently, the Friends of Greenwich Point installed a very nice water feature that has like a stone water fountain.
Okay.
Where is it?
It's just where I call it the lower mansion field. So if you're up at that mansion where it was and you walk down the stone steps,
Yeah.
Yep.
there's an open area down there. And they've created a...
Oh, yeah. I saw there was a truck there the other day.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and they're clearing that area too.
Yes.
Do you see a lot of animals going there to drink and whatnot periodically?
Yeah, it's mostly birds.
They can find it.
So do you get to walk after sunset when everyone's there? Do you ever take time to just breathe?
Yeah, if I do, it's hard for me to enjoy Todd's Point like everyone else does.
Yeah, it's
I'm constantly on the lookout looking for things. But I do take my wife and kids out every so often at night.
yeah.
We'll grab a flashlight on a nice quiet night, and we'll take a walk around.
Yeah.
So fun.
But it's your job. You look at it differently than we do, obviously.
It's quite a challenge trying to separate personal life from
Yeah,
my
I'm
work
sure.
life. But either way, I love it.
Yeah.
It's a great thing.
Well, we appreciate all the effort. So
We really
we
do.
know that there are a ton of people managing this property and taking care of it, and
It's-
it's thank you.
Yeah, thank you, seriously, and keeping it beautiful for us all year long, because it's my favorite place to be in town,
Oh, it's incredible.
outside of my home.
I grew up backcountry. Like,
I know,
way
me too.
backcountry.
Me too,
And-
way back there. I remember wanting to go to the beach so badly and not having a car, and back then you had to get a cab, and I wasn't going to
Oh, right,
spend
yeah.
like $30 at the time to take myself to the beach. All my friends lived in OG and Riverside, and I
They'll
always
just bike there, yeah.
Yeah, they just bike there or walk there, and
Sure.
I was like, "I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Punks.
I'll walk there." Was there anything that we missed that you want to share with us? Anything coming up at the point? Anything about you? I'm trying to think. I feel like we covered a lot.
I don't know why, but I'm obsessed with Christmas trees and where do they go in the wintertime? Because you have one of the biggest spots that are dumped.
It is
and
the-
so
Scott knows a lot.
Let him run with this.
I know.
So the tree pile at Todd's Point is enormous. And
It's Scott's favorite thing. We talked about it so much in
Well,
December.
you just got to remember where they go.
Yeah.
And there are people I know certain people that will go there December 20th and grab trees to bring it home and quote unquote recycle it
Because
because
they're only
families have
for-
dropped it off early because they're going on vacation.
definitely true.
Do you have a problem with that?
No, I don't
Yeah.
have a problem with that, only because that's always been the case.
Yeah.
And it's not a huge amount. So people start dropping their trees off before
I mean,
Christmas, right?
it's recycling. You're getting a free tree, but you're using it twice.
Right. So when people discard their tree or recycle the tree down at Todd's Point, the tree department comes in and they chip them up. and then we use them for walking trails.
Oh, on site they chip them up. Oh, so you use all the material.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And then most recently, they've started using the trees as
That is so exciting.
See?
Just to know that it goes back into the park.
yeah, not necessarily. Maybe another park
For
in
the
town.
listener,
Right.
it's the end of April, but we're going to recycle this
We are
conversation.
recycling this conversation in
November
December and November. Yeah.
And the public can come and take a bag of whatever they need and use
Chips?
it for
Oh, really?
their own. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyone
Is
can
there a
take-
fee?
No.
Oh, that's good to know.
See?
You can use
We're
it for your
learning
mulch.
Your around your house, your garden bed,
Well, you got to
whatever
grab
it
it.
may
When do they do this? I assume January.
be. No, they start chipping right away.
Okay, yeah.
So like December 26th?
Yeah.
And my obsession, which also frustrates me, is and I'm sure you've seen a ton of them, people have dropped trees off with lights on.
No.
I've seen it several times.
Come on.
Like literally a tree with, you have to, like, they take ornaments off, but there have been trees with lights on them.
Yeah.
Come
Which,
on.
I
when
mean,
that
come on, that's ridiculous.
When that happens, or you drop garland or other non-actual trees, we can't do anything with that.
Please don't do that.
We have
ridiculous.
to. We end up just throwing it out.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Now it went from recycling to being completely wasteful.
being a jerk.
Yeah, that's just wrong.
Okay, so they chip up the trees. You use that on the property. You're allowing people to take the chips.
Yep.
See?
And most recently, the Friends of Greenwich Point started a program to where they put Christmas trees behind the snow fencing on the beach in an attempt to try and build the sand dunes.
Oh, cool.
And that's obviously kosher with the state and all that stuff.
It is, yeah. Most recently, a lot of them washed away
Okay.
with that storm. So they're going to start rebuilding the fencing, and the Parks Department, the Friends of Greenwich Point, and Brunswick School are all going to work together and get that back together.
Well, that's good to know.
How is the beach doing? I mean, on a sand level, are you losing sand? Is it sustainable? Is it?
A lot of the sand blows up, goes into parking lots, and it's a cycle of me pushing it back onto the beach. Whatever's blowing up into the sand dunes is completely natural, and we won't take that away because it's our natural barrier against storms. We just started raking the beach 2 weeks ago, start cleaning up for the season, and we'll start doing that 7 days a week very shortly.
Oh, that's good to know, too.
That's one of our biggest prides at Todd's Point is making sure that beach is spotless. We try hard with the little stones and everything. It's very rocky in certain areas, but we want to make sure that there's...
I mean, it's especially at low tide, it's massive. It's a huge beach, and it's a very subtle drop, at least for the first 100 yards or so.
Yeah, and you have to remember, we are in New England, so it's going to be rocky.
Right. And there are things that people leave behind from their beach days, so it's nice to know that there's cleanup every night.
After storms, the guys at the metal detectors.
Oh, yeah.
And have you seen anyone find anything really cool?
That's a good question.
Actually, technically, metal detecting on the beach is prohibited.
Okay, we don't see guys. On the beach with metal detectors.
There's technicalities I'm not going to get into, but
Okay.
yes, people have done it.
Wedding rings and
I
such.
They're not supposed to, so we don't endorse it.
Right. No, we definitely don't endorse it. But
So when you're on vacation, do you run as far away from sand as possible?
I actually take my family to Cape Cod.
Okay, yeah.
even rockier beaches.
We go up every year to Cape Cod. Usually,
I went to high school in Cape Cod.
Did you?
Yeah, I love Cape Cod.
we usually go up to the Brewster area.
Well, the Cape's got
I was in
some
Marion.
incredible
The-
beaches.
The armpit of Cape Cod.
But it's nice because my kids love the water, and
Yeah.
I get a chance to enjoy the beach. As
like actually
Do,
enjoy
do you
it.
catch
Civilian
yourself
mode.
cleaning up stuff? Or you just like get away.
it's actually, I like doing it because I get other municipalities' perspectives
Okay.
on what they do with their beaches and how what they do, right?
Yeah.
And I bring them back home and I introduce them down here and say, hey, this is what this municipality is doing. What do you guys think
That works.
it works,
Yeah.
right? Maybe we should start thinking about doing this sort of thing.
Cool.
Nothing specifically, but
I love that you're always looking to make it better.
yeah, there's always room for improvement. We're constantly coming up with ideas of what we can do to improve Todd's Point.
And especially having, sorry, Scott,
No, you
but how many new residents, you would know this data every year. I feel like we've had an influx of new residents to the Greenwich area, 2,500 plus in the past 3 years.
Yeah, we had a
a good amount
we
of
had
people.
a flux of people during COVID, and they're also the town's not getting any bigger, so
Right.
come in, come out. Me selling real estate, I love talking about Todd's Point. I just bring people down 2.5 mile loop. Like
Sold.
nobody is not awestruck. And yeah, am I allowed to bring? You guys have been really generous, and just I'm doing a drive-through. We're not hanging out here. I also love talking about taxes, but nobody gets to Todd's Point, and they're not like in awe, especially if it's a sunny day. Like there's Manhattan. There are specific buildings we can point out. Circling around, have you spoken to anybody in Darien about the big property they purchased and what they're doing with it? If they reached out,
mentioned it to me recently, and it's a little bit of a different situation over there, but I think they're starting to realize that what they envisioned over there, how people were going to react, is not exactly how it's really happening over there. I think they're having an issue with people roaming around where they shouldn't be. I haven't been there, so I don't know the specifics of the property.
It's a Ziegler family. They're two giant chunks of property, and the one that the town purchases on land. But unlike you or us, there's no pinch. So there's no easy way to control traffic, especially people walking. But I think it's really neat that the town purchased it and tried to have a vision. I don't know anything about it, but the more that towns purchase properties, frankly, a lot of times the better. And that's where the Greenwich Land Trust, does the land, who owns Todd's Point technically?
The town of Greenwich.
Yeah, it's just straight up the town of Greenwich. And the land trust, or who does all the mowing and landscaping and stuff?
So the Greenwich Parks Department does all the land work, all the landscaping, and they work with the Tree Conservancy.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
They work with them and they've planted hundreds and hundreds of new trees down at Greenwich Point in the past 5 years.
I love that.
And it's just, and they're trying to get rid of invasives that are killing a lot of these native trees. And so if you see areas where are cleared out, it's not because we're trying to destroy a habitat.
They're planted.
We're trying to restore native plants and trees.
Good to know.
There's that one, we talked about this on an interview a few weeks ago, but the one invasive that's really taking over, and I'm not going to remember what it's called. Yeah. I think it has berries, but it's everywhere in town, and it's a very invasive. It's like almost like an ivy.
Yeah, there's a vine.
It's a vine,
something like that.
There was one called mile a minute weed.
That's it, I think. Is that it?
I don't know.
I'm not too knowledgeable.
This is why we have arborists, right?
Me either. This is why we have research.
My specialty is not
Hey
plants.
Siri. Yeah.
We don't have specialties.
No.
I mean, we have day jobs, but we're here to learn from you.
Yeah, I'm more of the mechanical part of the beach.
Yeah.
But the Parks Department is great. They know what they're doing. We work together on a daily basis. I'm constantly working with several departments every day. Parks Department, the Conservation Department, Public Works, several divisions within Public Works, Highway, Building, Construction, and Maintenance, the Police Department, the Fire Department. Yeah. It's a huge collaborative effort townwide to keep this facility moving 7 days a week.
And any projects coming up? I'll keep going.
We just keep our historical things going.
I love that.
We'll have our lifeguard chairs out. We're building brand new lifeguard chairs this year.
And what are the general rules of the beach? You can bring food on. You can't bring food. No glass, stuff like that.
The only restriction on the beach is just no glass.
No glass.
Which I do patrol.
Okay.
And if there's somebody with a glass bottle, I do ask them kindly to please throw it out, because the next morning when I take my tractor out, I have run over and broken glass, and it gets buried in the sand.
Yeah.
And you'll never find it again until somebody steps on it.
Such a pain. Please don't bring glass
it's
to
like
the
a
beach.
Pool. I mean, it's glass at a beach or a pool. It's Okay.
All right. Awesome. Larry, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I mean, I think
pleasure.
we covered so much. I know, and I can't wait. When you come up with stories that pop into your head randomly, please send us a message. I will use it as a part of the history post that we do on Thursday.
Quick videos.
Yeah.
I want to see the storms.
I know.
Post more photos.
Yeah,
of the
post more.
storms.
Tag us in those storm photos, videos.
I try and get out there to document all these storms only because I'm fascinated by them.
It's fascinating. Without risking your life, please.
And there's a report that just came out that's this year we're expecting 30% more named storms or something
I
like
heard
that.
that too.
That excites me, but you live down there, so
Yeah.
I unfortunately don't live near the water.
For the sake of my living situation, I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
30% more what storms?
Named storms or something of that. There's
Storms
a report,
big enough to warrant a
hurricanes.
name.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know the definition. A lot of storms coming.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
In the past 5 years, I've seen more frequent big storms coming through. It's happening more and more often to where the water's breaching the beach, the water's breaching the roadway, And it's really becoming quite difficult to clean up after these storms.
The sand came up so high on that last storm. It was. I usually park all the way in the back behind second concession, like 2 lots back, just because I like to walk up through the hill. And the sand was there. I mean, it was nuts how far up it came. And I mean, the second concession parking lot was a beach.
There was probably 3 feet of sand in that parking lot.
What?
How do you get the sand back to the beach? Is it a sweeper thing?
No,
bulldozers?
I have a small skid steer.
Yeah.
And it's 1 bucket at a time.
Oh, you're kidding.
Push. And then I'd make these huge piles, and then I'd have to take a bucket at a time and just distribute it out.
But for a sandy or something, like you got to get help from the town. I mean,
when that happened, I wasn't there, but they hired a lot of equipment to come in. They got forestry equipment from Canada to come down.
Wow.
Because that place was just
destroyed.
I mean, the whole town.
Yeah.
Absolutely leveled.
And we were lucky compared to what some
Long
people
Island.
got. New Jersey, gone. Just gone.
Well, in low-lying parts of Long Island, inland,
Yeah.
that are very low, they got destroyed.
Yeah, you look at other towns like Fairfield, where they have communities right on the beach there that got hit hard. I mean,
Houses on stilts on the beach in Fairfield.
Right.
Yeah. The university. There's like a whole university row where.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Can you imagine being in college and living in a beach? I can't imagine it, actually. I didn't do it, but.
Well, and talk about people that really don't care about the house. When I was in college, I'm sorry, I wasn't really taking care
my
of the
parents thought the house I lived in.
Your parents were right.
They were right. There were mushrooms growing out of the floor at one point. It was bad, but I loved it.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
John's point was it was looked at by developers.
No.
To develop a community before the town purchased it, and they determined that it wasn't going to work.
Thank you.
It's just too like shorelands. It's too low lying.
Yeah.
It's just there's not enough infrastructure to support a community out there.
Yeah.
It's
Agreed.
Well, it's helped us, so thank you to whomever killed that deal.
That was back in the 40s?
It was probably
before 45,
Before 45.
Well, and there's some cool stories that we'll dive into about Greenwich and things that might have happened. And the UN was looking at central Greenwich.
Really?
Yeah, no, the actual UN. Their maps. We'll leave this for another conversation. But if you Google UN Greenwich, Connecticut, it was like the 50s or 70s or somewhere in there. We're looking at chunks right in the middle.
Wow.
To what's it called when the government takes over land? Eminent domain. Yes. I believe. Like I'm probably talking out of my.
We'll do some research on that.
We'll do some research, but there are maps showing giant chunks, giant, and hundreds and hundreds of acres.
Wow.
They were going to take by the UN. So
there was also another story that they were going to turn Todd's Point into an amusement park.
What?
That was discussed as well.
Coney Island.
And the town was like, no way.
No way.
Okay, so that could be the greatest prank ever if we start putting signs up saying amusement park coming. Just watch the look on everyone's faces that live down there.
You see how traffic is in Old Greenwich
It's
now.
tough.
It can never support.
It's a beach town. It's like going up to the Cape to these little beach towns that are so cozy and everyone knows everyone. And that's the allure of Old Greenwich. It's stunning.
That's the best thing about it.
It's the best thing about it. It's so neighborly.
Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it.
Thank you,
My
Larry.
pleasure. Thanks for
Thank you,
having me.
Larry.
Yeah, it's so great to have you here.